And if you see through the, having trouble with my sticky stuff on here. You might not be able to see it well, but there you go. Right here in the hole, there's a little bump. That interfaces with, as you see, there's a bar that goes right there. And that bar moves when you push on the bolt hold open or the bolt lock that's here. So all that connects together, and that's why when you turn this, here, it interferes on this, and that's what pushes up the, when it's unsafe. It pushes it all up when it's unsafe. Alright, so now lastly, what that groove here is for. And you see it on here. This right here. I'm sorry, from before I made a mistake. This groove here is the only one. It's this one here that has, it's this one right here that has a second one that's just here. And that's what does the pushing, that's what allows the bolt hold open / lock to work when this one here is in the safety position. Anyways, going back. On the groove that you see here, the big groove, does absolutely nothing in this gun anymore. What that did is, in semi-auto, it basically, hard time showing you this here because it's obviously not here, so I'll try to put something there to show you, but might help if I pull the trigger. Alright, on the sear, you can barely see it here, but right about there is some ground off material. What that is that there's usually a little extension that sticks off the back of there on the original ones. So when this is in semi-auto mode, the extension slides under here, which means that the secondary sear isn't interfered with at all by this. And when you had it on full auto, you would turn it, and this would no longer interfere with the little protrusion, little lever that's on the secondary sear. This means that once it was pulled, and if the safety selector was switched to full auto, when you pulled on the trigger, it would basically do this. If I could sort of, hard time here doing this because try to use a safety again. Anyways, it would lock. Can't do it very easily. Maybe you'll see it here, but it would hold this back, so only the front would move. This means that when it fired, see how it catches here? Well, if it's held back, it wouldn't catch. So it'd be like this, allowing this to continue going forward. So now, say I replace this with a full auto one, and I replace this with an original full auto one, you would have a gun that in full auto, you pull the trigger, and you got a hammer that will never come and stay down. So it always goes back up like this. That's called riding with the bolt, and it's not a full auto. You might get unlucky and have the round fire. In a blowback like this, it's not so bad. In some of the locking ones, you could risk losing hands and eyes and stuff, but this will ride forward with a bolt and lose all its energy as it's sliding forward, causing a misfire. So you'd have a gun that's technically a single shot from what used to be a semi-auto. Alright, what used to turn these guns into full auto is on the side of the bolt, on the side of the hammer here. You see that there's something that's been cut out once again. So you saw one on there. Now you see a cut off piece of material here. Well, there's a lever that used to be able to go up here, which is all blocked now with pins and welds and everything. But it used to go up here and stick out a little bit here. And when the bolt would slide forward, once again, as you see, it's all machined. It used to have a ramp that was about the same height as this one here. Well, technically the same height as this here. So that little protrusion that stuck up would go and hit that and be pushed down. If you remember what we said before, if you have your trigger held down, the hammer in this configuration here, if you had an original sear, would come back up. Well, in the original one, it would try to do the same thing, except that little piece of little stub that's here interferes with that lever that I just mentioned. And the lever is what holds the hammer down. As soon as that bolt slides forward, and that ramp that's no longer on the bolt that you see there touches a lever, it pushes it down, which would release the hammer and allow it to fire. This would, all in together and with all those parts and the machining required, would cause it to go full auto and fire at around, an estimate around 1200 rounds per minute, which is ridiculously fast for a gun like this, especially when you have originally 15, I think, and 20 round magazines, or 10 and 20 round magazines, whatever. Ridiculously fast. By the time you're done pulling the trigger, you've just realized that you've gone through all your ammo, which doesn't really help. That's where the interesting part of this gun comes in play. This here. And as I said, on this gun it's completely useless, but this is a rate reducer. What it does is, you see the hole in the back of this bolt? It looks like there's a little notch on it. Well, what happens is, as it rides back, it catches into place and it won't let this bolt run forward again. There's absolutely nothing that lets it run forward. It's locked into place. And it's locked back. So it catches the bolt and holds it back there. So you ask yourself, how can that actually work? Well, pretty interesting actually, is as you see this whole thing's moving. And something's pushing it back up. Well, as the bolt comes back, it hits here and pushes in that way. And you could probably see through the hole. There's a little piston-y looking device there in the hole. You'll see it better after. But anyways, the bolt hits back like this, and that's what catches the bolt right there. Now, that little piston thing runs right into the trigger, right into the grip here, and it's a weight on a spring. So as the bolt hits back here, this weight slides down against spring pressure, and this locks on the bolt. As it comes to the end of travel, it comes back up and hits the bottom of this, popping this back up. I don't know if I could take this off just like this. I could try, yeah, there you go. You see, there's your spring, and there's your weight. These could have different weights on them depending on situation, which would change your rate of fire. This brought it down to a manageable about 850, 950 rounds per minute, which is still fast, but at least you sort of can control bursts when it comes to having the 20 rounds only. So as you saw, this with that spring sits up there, pushing this upwards and out of the way of the bolt. Bolt comes back, slams on this, which transfers the energy into this, which goes down, allowing this with the spring that's back there to sit down like that and catch the bolt. So this goes, compresses, and then comes right back up with the spring pressure that's underneath it and hits this forward or up, and the bolt is released again. So in full auto, it would reduce by giving that little bit of delay to the gun. And that, I hope, is everything to do with how this gun works. I'm hoping I didn't forget anything. If I did, please leave a comment. Also, any questions, just leave it in the comments. Like my videos, dislike my videos. I really don't mind. But please, I've noticed it before that people do dislike my videos, and as I said, it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that I don't know why they dislike them. So if you want to dislike the video, I don't mind, just tell me why you did it. Could be because you don't like my voice, could be because I'm not doing something properly. Just, if you tell me, I could try working on that for my next videos. Anyways, enough with all that. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you see how one of these guns work. See if I can pull this off for you guys so you can see underneath. There you go. So that's how the grip is. Once again, thanks. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And thanks for watching.